iHeartRadio. Everything holiday, all in one place. From 24/7 Christmas music to the stories behind the Christmas hits with Drew Savage. Listen to the podcast on the free iHeartRadio app, your destination for all things Christmas. These are the songs that get you in the spirit. Keep listening for all your Christmas favorites.
This week in gaming with Naomi Kyle.
Hello and happy Cyber Monday, everyone. I'm Naomi Kyle, and welcome back to This Week in Gaming. This week, we're catching up on the latest studio acquisition, the PC parts shortage, the next Warner Brothers game in development, and a sit-down with the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog himself, Roger Craig Smith. We've got all of this week's gaming news, so let's get started. Nintendo has announced that it has entered into an agreement with Bandai Namco to acquire the majority of shares in the Singaporean branch, Bandai Namco Studios Singapore. The decision to acquire the studio is part of a strategic move to strengthen first-party game development within Nintendo. Bandai Namco Studios Singapore is a relatively young studio, having been founded in 2013, and as such, the studio has just a few titles under its belt. What it lacks in numbers, however, it makes up for in quality, having developed games like Ace Combat 7, Soul Calibur 4, and most notably, Splatoon 3. Nintendo's plans for the studio begin with a name change from Bandai Namco Studios Singapore to the more aptly named Nintendo Studios Singapore. Nintendo plans on owning 80% of the company by the end of this fiscal year. Warner Brothers has experienced struggles within the gaming space these last 2 years, resulting in major financial losses that have undoubtedly contributed to studio shutdowns and cancellations. There is one remaining IP, however, that stands to save Warner Brothers games from financial ruin. I'm of course talking about Harry Potter. Distilling the world of Harry Potter into a single-player game like Hogwarts Legacy has proven itself to be a winning combination that Warner Brothers desperately needs to recreate. Warner Brothers hasn't officially announced a sequel for Hogwarts Legacy, but an eagle-eyed journalist at Game Rant thinks that might soon change. Journalist Charming Holiday noticed a job listing for an executive producer at Avalanche Software that reads, "The executive producer will lead the production of a high-quality single-player action-adventure RPG from concept to launch and beyond, and a passion for the source material and IP we are working in." In addition to this listing, positions of senior artists, a lead world designer, and a software engineering director have all cropped up on Avalanche's website. Avalanche Soft has created other games in the past, but none are so notable as Hogwarts Legacy. This is all speculative for now, but everyone seems to agree that all signs point to the development and impending announcement of a Hogwarts Legacy sequel. If you're looking at upgrading your PC for the holidays, you might want to consider holding off. Due to increased global investment in AI, manufacturers of GPUs, RAM, and solid-state drives are struggling to keep pace with demand. Shortages of these key components have caused SSD prices to double and the cost of RAM to shoot up by 500%. For Valve, this shortage couldn't come at a worse time. After the announcement of their Steam machine, gamers have been wondering if the Steam machine will be priced competitively enough to compete in the console market. Valve has made comments that the Steam machine is not a console and that it will be priced like a PC, shattering any and all hope that console gamers have for an affordable entry in the world of PC gaming.
Quest complete.
So that's the news for this week. It's now time to chat with our guest, Roger Craig Smith, voice of Sonic the Hedgehog, and Chris Redfield in Resident Evil, joins us to chat about his path to voice acting stardom, what advice he has, and his perspective on how AI has affected the industry.
Select game mode. Multiplayer.
Hi, Roger. Welcome to This Week in Gaming for the first time. It's good to have you.
Naomi. Thank you. I am honored. I'm thrilled to be here. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you as well. I'm excited because you're actually my first voice actor that I've ever had on the show. So it's really exciting. I'm not kidding you.
What is okay? Well, now the pressure's on. Well, it's good. It's wise. You've set the bar exceptionally low. So
no, exceptionally high. I would say anyone after this needs to top that.
It's all downhill.
It's gonna be tough.
It's all downhill from here. That's crazy. I'm honored.
Yeah, it's so great. Hopefully this opens the door for more voice actors to join to be on the show.
Okay.
I am very curious to get started from the get-go on how you got into the industry. Like, what kicked off this voice actor career of yours? What made you want to do it?
The joke answer that I like to give, but honestly, it's not all that much of a joke, is that I was a very substandard and marginal stand-up comedian, and the industry just kept saying, "Hey, this stand-up thing's interesting, but you do so many characters and voices in your act. Have you ever thought about animation or video games or being a cartoon guy?" And I had a number of people throughout just years of doing it that you would be hosting events and doing things like that, working as MC. People would say, "Oh, you have a speaking voice? Are you a radio guy? Are you a DJ?" So for years, I was hearing everyone else in the industry telling me I should be doing something other than stand-up comedy, and I just was trying to grind it out. Finally, we were trying out for the Aspen Comedy Festival. There was a showcase that we were doing at the Improv down in Irvine, California. The woman that was there to evaluate us, the audience leaves. We all got back up on stage, and she went one by one to critique all of us in front of our colleagues and got to me and went, "Who represents you for VO?" And I was like, "Nobody, what?" And she goes, "Oh, you just do so many cartoon characters or voices. I thought you were a cartoon guy." And I was like, "No." And she goes, "Huh." And then moved on. Said nothing about my stand-up comedy set that night, whether or not I'd be a good fit for the Aspen Comedy Festival. And I thought, there is as much of an industry professional as you could get. And I think literally the next day I was like, all right, I'm going to start searching, calling agencies, finding out, how do I do this? What is involved? Took some classes. Started pounding the pavement in Orange County, California, kind of developing my own little entrepreneurial approach. And then took Bob Bergen's animation class. Wound up getting selected by somebody who was auditing the class, who turned out to be a booth director at an agency in LA. They signed me like a few months after that, and the rest is history, I guess. So,
oh my gosh,
what
a path! Yeah, and also to think that this is probably the industry to be in now too. Like you kind of hit the jackpot. Is that not?
I guess for me, it was always that way. I've always just thought, this is so cool. This is such a neat thing to be a part of. But it is rather strange to be 20 years in and then looking around and going, what? This is, I've always thought this was cool. How is it suddenly becoming cooler? And yeah, no, it's kind of wild, but I think it's really, it says a lot about how much media and entertainment is changing, in the fact that, we used to think, oh, big celebrities. It's this idea of like, celebrity is Hollywood movies. And then all of a sudden this little industry comes along where people spend thousands and thousands of hours playing as a character, and the connection that's made as a result of that with somebody who might either be the animator or the writer or the director or the voice it's remarkable. It's not surprising, I guess, but it is I think it's really kind of rocking the entertainment industry.
Totally is. I mean, they're doing what they can to kind of fit into the gaming industry because they really want a part of that audience. But with movies and stuff, and TV shows. But I think it's cool that you're kind of at the precipice of that, and here you are, just voicing all sorts of iconic characters, Sonic of all characters. First
voice actor on your show, and yes, we're breaking down barriers in Hollywood by voice actors being recognized. No, it is very strange. It is, and I kind of just chuckle at it, because at the end of the day too, it's just kind of like, I don't know. I mean, even the idea of celebrity within the world of seeing people on camera is like, why? It's they're human beings. They're fallible and just like all of us. But it is neat. It's fun to see the excitement now and how much. I mean, my God, when I was much younger, the idea of like nerddom or geekdom or that kind of thing was like, and now it's just like, oh, you're not a nerd, you're not a geek. Right. What's wrong with you? You've got to go nerd out and geek out on something. So here we are.
It's cool.
It's cool.
It's cool
it's really cool. Yes.
All right, we're gonna cut to GameStop this week real quick, and we'll be right back.
iHeartRadio, everything holiday, all in one place. From 24/7 Christmas music to the stories behind the Christmas hits with Drew Savage. Listen to the podcast on the free iHeartRadio app, your destination for all things Christmas. These are the songs that get you in the spirit. Keep listening for all your Christmas favorites.
Games out this week.
Starting on December 1st, Marvel Cosmic Invasion: Defend the Innocent on PS4, PS5, PC, Switch, and Xbox Series X and S. On December 2nd, Rising Heat, She's Leaving, Kingdom of Night, and Horses find a home on PC. Then on December 3rd, Let It Die Inferno is reincarnated on the PS5 and PC. On December 4th, Toy Smash Kaboom launches exclusively on PC, batteries not included. SpongeBob Patty Pursuit 2 gets nautical exclusively on Apple Arcade. Routine delves into the unknown on PC, Xbox Series X and S, and releases day one on Game Pass Ultimate. Blood Refreshed Supply gets retro on all platforms. Octopath Traveler 0 teams up on PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox Series X and S, and Switch 1 and 2. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond crash lands on Nintendo Switch 1 and 2. The Epic Game Store is offering 2 free games this week. The Dark Side Detective and the Jackbox Party Pack 4 will be available for download from December 4th until the 11th. PS Plus subscribers can look forward to 5 free games for the month of December. LEGO Horizon Adventures, Killing Floor 3, Cityuality Echo of Ada, Neon White, and The Outlast Trials. All of these titles will be free and available to download from December 2nd until January 5th.
Quest accepted.
All right, I want to touch on something that's interesting because we talked a lot about this throughout the year, but the SAG-AFTRA video game strike.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, from your perspective, what was that like, having to go through that?
Brutal in so many more ways than one. And I've got to be very, very, I will be very, very careful. I tend to keep, politics and all of that, like at a bare minimum. I think, it's, oh my gosh, where do you even begin? It was a bit of a struggle, this one, and this was as complicated as I think they get. And the idea that you get this burgeoning technology and that a lot of people, like with any new technology, are freaked out and understandably so, and trying to sort of like get ahead of something that is moving at such an unbelievably rapid pace. The negotiating committee had an unbelievable, like just a Herculean task to try to address all of this. I will say, while it was a woefully imperfect kind of a sort of an endeavor, I think that's the process. And kudos to the folks that are willing to kind of put their names out there and participate in something like that. And I have appreciation for the people that are willing to work on something like that. And I'm thankful. I'm so grateful that it's over. But it's so I don't even know where. I guess I'm trying to think if there's ever been a time in this business where people 20 years ago were going, oh, I don't even know how much it's changed, and I can't believe this. I mean, we're talking about digital technology, digital taping from back in the day, but I don't think that carried the same sort of concerns that AI does today.
Oh, yeah.
And when I talk to people in the business, everybody's kind of looking around going, has it ever been this weird? Has it ever been this strange? Does it not feel kind of icky? And it used to be a little bit more fun. It's a little bit more of like a elbows out, kind of fearful, kind of mistrust, kind of, and I hate that that's where we're at. It is a strange industry in the way that things are sort of set up to where you've got publishers and developers and talent and agencies and managers and all of it's a miracle that anything ever gets made, period.
Yeah.
It's just such a massive endeavor to make a video game. And I guess right now I'm hoping that we can be in a season of repair and a season of healing, and yet you hear about countless layoffs and just it's such a strange time to be in the business. I don't even know how to answer the question. I mean, obviously I know that it was pointed towards the SAG-AFTRA strike and all that, and it's like, people need to fight for, and we need protection against this technology. That said, the demonization of one another and all that, it's like that starts the demonizing of one another. That gets really tricky and it's not healthy. And I think we're sort of licking wounds and trying to step across some lines again to be like, hey, can we get back to like making really great content for fans?
Yeah, literally could not have said it better. And I think, I really just wanted your perspective on it because being, the first voice actor on my show, but also the fact that it was such a big event this entire year. It came to an end, luckily. We got somewhere.
Yeah.
But it was just I think your perspective is totally valid, and it's true. I feel the exact same way.
Okay, I'm one of the worst to actually even ask about it because I do try to be. It's so much more complicated than I can ever even possibly fathom. And of course, I have opinions and I have reactions like anybody else.
Yeah.
But I think like most things, I want to be like, I want to temper that and kind of think, okay, I can't walk in those shoes. I haven't walked in those shoes. So to be hyper judgmental about any element of it, it's so much more complicated than just that. So hopefully you get some more actors, voice actors on here in the future, and maybe you'll get a little more, maybe we'll get a little bit more out of them. But for me, I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I long for more metered conversations in all things political and with dissension and all that kind of stuff. And so I would have to I'd have to be like, yeah, I think I'll just take a little bit of an olive branch in this and kind of go, ooh, I don't quite know enough to really weigh in too heavily,
right.
But yeah,
no, but it's
so,
fine. It's
so tricky.
It's a tricky topic, and it's the arts, right? The arts versus business, and they tend to just clash sometimes. And we're at at a moment in time where that's really apparent.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, from animation as well. I mean, like I just the sort of obliteration of so many different networks, and it's just a bizarre time in the industry, as is any time that you have a powerful new technology kind of making its way into something. I always bring it up going like, look, radio was going to be the end of newspapers, and, TV was going to be the end of radio. And, it's like the internet was going to be the end of all sorts of things. And we're all those entities are still around.
We're still here.
Yeah. And I think AI is going to be a very, very tricky technology. I'm ever so thankful that people were willing to try to fight for as much as they could get in terms of protection for artists in that area. But there's still so much left to see how it plays out. It's going to be crazy.
It's going to be crazy. It's an ongoing battle. But let's switch gears to talk about your work and the fun part, right? Of the arts and everything that we do. So one of my favorite games actually is Dying Light.
Oh my gosh, holy cow.
Yeah. So I really want to know what it was like for you returning to Kyle Crane as and that character in this new Dying Light the Beast, which is coming out soon, I think.
Oh no, Dying Light the Beast is out.
It's out. So people should go check it out.
Yes, the Beast has been unleashed.
Perfect. And so what was it like going back to the character?
That was bizarre. I was not expecting that after a decade.
I know.
I mean,
it's been 10 years.
And as well as you well know, if you work once, you're like, I won. I got invited to the party and I got to be there and I win. The fact that you get to work again is like, oh my gosh, lightning is striking again, and the idea that you get to return to characters that you've done from at this point, a decade ago, is so surreal. And when they actually did call my agent, I said, make sure they're calling the right actor, because I'm pretty sure my character turned into a zombie at the end of the first one. And I said, I don't think I'm coming back unless it's like an origin story or something. And I'm like, are they, and then we got in touch with Techland, and the guys were like, no, we have a surprise for you. And, all of a sudden it was like, I was privy to the information about where this was going, what had happened, and what they were kind of doing to kind of work it back in. And I was thrilled. It was a lot of fun to kind of step back into that sort of hard on his sleeve, very reactionary protagonist of Kyle Crane. And I just enjoyed getting back into, and thankfully was able to work with Olivier de Rivière, who is the composer, but he and I worked together on certain elements of character design in terms of the sort of dialogue elements of it. And then working again with Harris Orkin, who was our writer on the first one, it was just neat to kind of step back in and go, all right, here's this new Kyle, but we want to pay homage and pay fan service to fans of the original Kyle, and start peppering little elements of that Kyle back in. So it was a blast. It was like, oh boy, it's like putting on an old shoe that, it's like putting on an old shoe that uses the F word a lot.
He swears a lot, yeah.
He swears a lot, which is a nice departure from a lot of the things that I would
usually
be sort of associated with, yeah.
Right, Sonic.
Sonic.
Yeah. So tell me about that journey, playing that character. Is he one of your favorite characters to play, you would say? Or
Kyle or Sonic?
Either one. Who's your favorite?
You know what? I mean, so the pat answer that I often give with that is my favorite character is the next one. I find this industry is so full of creative people, and the way that they kind of push storytelling, I find it really interesting. I am constantly being surprised pleasantly by just the way people can kind of create new content or new stories. So that my favorite character is the next one, because A, it means I'm working again.
Yeah.
And B, it means I get to be a part of something where I'm a part of a production team where that's my joy, is getting to be a part of a team where it's like, okay, there's this big collaborative, collective, creative vision that everybody wants to make happen, and I get to be a part of that. And so I'm always down for the next one.
Okay.
I mean, look, I've done Sonic for over 15 years now, and it's kind of crazy to think next year's the 35th anniversary of the character, of the franchise.
Wild. Yeah.
And it's like, and getting to voice a character like that for over 15 years, and to meet people in their 30s who are like, man, you're the voice of my childhood. And I'm looking at you going, you're an adult. And they're like, yeah, man, I was like 14 or 12 or 13. And you're like,
damn.
Oh yeah, holy cow. That's where these white whiskers are coming from.
Right.
No, it's so surreal. I was like walking along down to, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of, like, down in Tustin, California at a Circuit City, walking by a window that had an advertisement for the Sega Genesis, and
Whoa.
seeing this game that had moved so fast, this side-scrolling, game with this character, and to be here now at this age and being a part of something like that is it's epic. It's surreal. And the reality is, I don't necessarily I have a fondness for having portrayed Ezio in Assassin's Creed 2 for the bonds and the friendships that were formed as a result of that crew. But to say that I have a favorite character, it just doesn't make sense in this industry, because I'm so fortunate to have worked as often as I have. The fact that I'm still here and still working is ridiculous, because that was the goal, was just to be a part of this and not get stuck in an office somewhere. And then the idea that now it's turned into a career of over 2 decades, and that 15 years later I'm still voicing a character as iconic to gaming as Sonic the Hedgehog it's just, I mean, words fail me, because you just kind of go, I can't. It's not that I'm so big, it's that I get to be a part of this thing that is so much bigger than I. It's remarkable.
Yeah, so cool. I can't imagine what it's like. It must be fun. And seeing the success of the movies and everything, it's just continuing to grow.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of what you would tell someone who's trying to do what you do right now at this point in the industry, and what it's like?
Yeah, I used to always struggle with like the sort of answers for that. Like lately, what I've been doing as a tactic is just saying, you're never going to have my career. And then I wait to see the reaction. Then I say, because I'm also never going to have yours.
Right.
And the reality is, and I mean, I could tell you to do everything I did. I was at a time when I was putting things onto a CD. We don't do that anymore.
Right.
And
that's why it's a tough question to answer.
Exactly. So I with caution, I tell people, here's the good news and the bad news. It's entirely up to you.
Right.
And we've never, just like there's never been a better time to be a Sonic fan, because you've got the cinematic universe, you got Devin Mack doing what he's doing on Sonic Prime, on the Netflix series, you got Ben Schwartz doing the cinema, we're still making games and doing social media and all that stuff, all sorts of different crossover marketing, the oh my gosh, the Waze app that we just did recently, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's also never been a better time to kind of think, well, what am I going to do? I can get onto the internet and find endless resources, endless training, endless exposure to what's going on, and then it's still going to be, I could tell you to get in line, take this class, read that book, go do this seminar, go to network in this way, fine, but it's still going to be, you've got to figure out how, whatever it is that you think you're going to bring to this business, you got to figure out how you're going to get it out there.
Yeah.
And if I told you to do what I did, it won't work, because you're not me and I'm not you, and I have no idea where you're based. I have no idea what your background is. I have no idea what your skill sets or assets are. Yeah. So it's such a difficult, that's why I'm just kind of going, hey, you know what? The good news and the bad news is it's all up to you.
It's all up to you.
And it's like, yeah. So I could tell you, I could maybe introduce you to somebody, but I don't tend to do that because I have no idea where you're at or what. And it's just like, you kind of just got to go forge your own way.
Yeah. And luckily there's a lot of platforms that you can just keep practicing or putting your stuff out there and hope that someone sees it too. That's happened to many folks that I know. Started on TikTok, and then next thing you know, they have an agent and they're
without a doubt.
Yeah, it happens like that too. Well, it was so great talking with you, Roger.
Likewise.
I so appreciate you being the first voice actor. It's pretty much an honor, I would say, for me.
Holy cow. Again, that bar is just so low. It's like I asked him like a knock it out of the park question about SAG-AFTRA, and he just danced around it. He parried all over the place.
No, it was perfect. I actually was very happy that you were able to just give your perspective on that. So wonderful having you on the show, and I hope you will be back some other time when you have another cool game to talk about. New character, right?
Thank you. Yes, the next one. Hopefully, knock on everything. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Roger.
Thanks, Naomi. Thank you.
Have a good one. Later.
Thank you, you too.
Roger Craig Smith is a video game voice actor and talent. You can follow him on Twitter at Roger Craig Smith.
Flawless victory! Continue!
And that's This Week in Gaming, folks. I'm your host, Naomi Kyle. Thank you so much for listening every week, and shout out to Josh Seaman for writing the show with us. Don't forget to let me know what you're playing and what you think of these stories by tagging me at Naomi Kyle on social. From all of us here at This Week in Gaming, we wish you a gaming-filled week. We'll see you again same time, same place. Talk to you later.
This Week in Gaming is an iHeartRadio Canada podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Download the iHeartRadio app for more podcasts just like these.
iHeartRadio, everything holiday, all in one place. From 24/7 Christmas music to the stories behind the Christmas hits with Drew Savage. Listen to the podcast on the free iHeartRadio app, your destination for all things Christmas. These are the songs that get you in the spirit. Keep listening for all your Christmas favorites.